He watched his favorite person unconscious in a car accident and watched his lover's painful struggle and finally closed her eyes. There is nothing more painful in the world than this.
I wanted to be with her. I really did.
Ian and Samantha fell in love at first sight and for many years. It was a normal day. Samantha woke up early in the morning to show him the new clothes she had bought for him. Underneath the dress was her beautiful body. Ian marveled in awe. Samantha smiled slyly and hugged him. Ian has an important meeting this morning. He pushes Samantha out of the way and takes his speech. Samantha gets burned while making breakfast. Ian brings out ice and gives her a cold compress. It's all very normal. Ian was still memorizing when they both walked out the door. Samantha gently holds his umbrella. Ian said on the way that he had a reservation at the restaurant for 7 tonight, but Samantha's eyes widened. Ian had forgotten that tonight was the concert she had been preparing for 3 years. Ian was embarrassed and guilty. He was so focused on his work that he forgot about Samantha's recital. As they parted ways, a passerby spills a Coke on Samantha. Ian goes back to fix Samantha's dress. Samantha kisses him and wishes him all the best. Ian arrives at work and finds his watch is broken. He asks his assistant to postpone his dinner order until 9. Then he goes to the store to pick out a red cardigan. But the assistant says his girlfriend already has a red cardigan. I have to say that Ian as a boyfriend is a negative example. On the other hand, Samantha came home to change her clothes. Suddenly she saw Ian's notes left at home, so she grabbed them and ran out. She knew how important the notes were to Ian. When she ran into the hotel, Ian was in a meeting. The waiter wouldn't deliver the notes to Ian for her, so she rushed into the conference room. Just as Samantha barged in, she saw Ian pull the exact same notebook out of his bag. It turned out to be a misunderstanding, and her presumptuous behavior made the partner's attitude negative. Ian's expression was a little lost. There was no doubt that his job had been ruined. Ian goes to the pub for a drink. The man across the street was playing pool and broke his glass. Ian gets a cab to the concert hall at the end of the night. His melancholy expression lets the driver know he's in a bad relationship. Ian actually loves Samantha, but he didn't know how to love her. When Ian says that Samantha wants him to go home with her, the driver asked him, if Samantha never came back, would you be okay with that? Ian was silent for a moment and said he couldn't accept Samantha leaving. So the driver stopped the car and told him to be brave, love and be thankful for Samantha. Ian bought a bouquet of flowers and sat her down on stage and looked at Samantha playing the piano and smiled. The recital was a great success, but then a fight breaks out between the two of them. At dinner, Samantha wanted to take Ian back to her parents' house. Ian refused, saying he was busy with work. Samantha realized that she would always be second to Ian. They broke up. Then Samantha got into a cab and left him, and then her car was in a car accident. Samantha eventually dies. Ian comes home in a daze. He came across Samantha's diary, where she had recorded how they had met and fallen in love. Ian fell asleep late at night with the diary in his arms. The man woke up and touched his dead girlfriend's diary, but suddenly his girlfriend said he should not look in the diary. Ian turns around in shock and sees his late girlfriend sitting next to him. She slowly approached Ian and hugged him tenderly. Ian felt at ease for a moment. He thought it was all a dream, but the next moment, Samantha pushes him down on the bed and puts on her new clothes to show him. Ian was shocked by the deja vu. As Ian was changing, he saw Samantha making breakfast. He rushes over to warn her not to get burned. His nervousness brings a sweet smile to Samantha's face, but Samantha gets burned anyway. She got burned by the curling iron while they were making out. Ian chose to go the other way on his way out, but Samantha still gets a coat thrown at her by a passerby. One coincidence after another makes Ian wonder if everything that happened yesterday was a dream. Samantha doesn't believe in these things. Since Ian's watch was broken in the dream, it was still intact. So he let his guard down for a while, but he would still look out the door from time to time during the meeting to verify the reality of the dream. But this time, Samantha didn't barge in. He finished the meeting and went to the bar for a drink. The man next to him was still flirting with a girl, but this time he caught the billiard ball flying towards the bar. Later, he hails a cab, only to find that it's the same driver from yesterday. He was shocked and exchanged pleasantries with the driver. Suddenly, he sees the driver's eyes and stops. He asks if last night's accident will happen again. At that moment, he realizes that last night's accident was not a dream, but they were back in the daytime yesterday, and this driver knew everything. He pressed the driver on what he could do to save his girlfriend. The driver still says that he should be grateful to his girlfriend and love her. Ian comes to his senses and gets out of his car and runs wild to find his girlfriend. he found Samantha at a friend's exhibition. He grabs her and says they have to leave London. Wherever they go is better than here. So Samantha buys the tickets. Ian was almost at his destination when he realized they were back in his hometown. Because Samantha wanted to see the place where he grew up and went to school. She wanted to see the place that made Ian the man she loved. Ian took Samantha to the mountain cabin he loved to visit as a child. It was raining hard on the way and they were soaked to the bone. Ian gets to the cabin and starts to light a match for the fireplace. Suddenly he sees his wrist and slowly pulls down his sleeve. The watch was broken. Everything had happened the day before. It just happened in a different order. He turned his head and burst into tears. He asked his girlfriend what she would like to do if you only had one day left to live. She replied that she would like to spend the last day of her life with him. Ian was surprised. He didn't expect his girlfriend's wish to be so simple. Ian took Samantha to a pub. His father used to come here every afternoon. When he was young, his father was his superhero. When Ian was 15, his father lost his job and started drinking, and his father's superhero image fell apart, but he still loved his father. He didn't talk about it to Samantha because he didn't want to get emotional. Ian wanted his father to know that he loved him. Samantha believes that death doesn't end love. Samantha's heart went out to Ian after hearing this. Then she silently wiped away his tears and leaned over him. Ian didn't want to go back to the city to face the death of his girlfriend. Samantha didn't know that tonight was her graduation concert, which she had been preparing for 3 years. Ian watched her quietly and finally had to compromise. Before they went home, they went to the amusement park. They both went up on the Ferris wheel and looked out over the city. Samantha looked at Ian and felt happier than ever.
Thank you.
What for?
For the perfect day.
Samantha gets home and gets ready to go to the concert hall. Suddenly, Ian saw the sheet music in her diary. It was a song Samantha had written for their love. So he grabbed the sheet music and said he was going to the office. He actually printed out 75 sheets of sheet music downstairs and took them to the director of the group. Ian asked him to play the piece after the concert. He wanted to surprise Samantha again at the end of the concert. And then, just like yesterday, he bought a bouquet of flowers and sat her down on stage and smiled at Samantha. After Samantha finished playing and turned the page of the score, she looked at the familiar score in disbelief. At that moment, Ian came on stage and said there was a special program. He pushed Samantha to the front of the audience. Samantha was so nervous to stand in this position for the first time that she didn't even know what to say. After a while, Samantha adjusted and sang. The students of the performing group stood up one after another. They had never rehearsed this song before but played it so well. At the end of the song, Samantha threw herself into Ian's arms. Everything today was a dream. Ian gave Samantha a bracelet at dinner. The bracelet was decorated with some old things and some new things. A bracelet had notes, violins, flowers. There was even a frying pan. Samantha laughed at his whimsy. Ian just watched her in silence. After they ate, it started to rain. Samantha dragged Ian out into the rain. Unfortunately, a cab in front of them was taken by someone else. Ian looked at the familiar intersection and confessed his love to Samantha. If I hadn't been with Samantha, I would never have understood love. Thank you for teaching me how to love and be loved. Samantha didn't know what to say for a moment. She just went up to Ian and kissed him tenderly. Finally, the cab arrived. Samantha got in first and smiled and asked Ian if he wanted to ride with her. Ian took the cab without hesitation. He looked at the familiar driver in the front row. Then he looked at Samantha and counted the minutes. And then he kissed Samantha for the last time. The clock jumps to 11. And then, once again, his friend rushed to the hospital, but this time Ian was the one who died and Samantha was the one who stayed. If he could do it all over again, Ian would love her with his life. Samantha couldn't stop crying when she remembered how much Ian had loved her that day. But at this point in time, fate could no longer be resisted. The truth is, there's no such thing as if. There is no such thing as a second chance. In this world, there are always people who teach us love in a cruel way. Unfortunately, we are often that Ian before we understand everything. Once we miss love, we regret it for the rest of our lives. We can only keep thinking about those people and those things in those days afterwards.